Have you ever loved two people at the same time, so differently, so fiercely, that your heart split in half trying to choose? I never believed in such chaos, until it became the blueprint of my life. It started with a wedding, my wedding to be exact. I stood in a silk sari, henna darkening my palms, the temple bells echoing through the coconut groves. But while everyone's eyes were on the groom, mine kept drifting to someone else. His brother. Sounds like a cliché, doesn't it? But I promise you, this was no love triangle. It was something far more complicated. My name is Aarthi, and I was born in a quiet coastal town in Tamil Nadu where the monsoon came in waves, and secrets stayed buried deeper than the roots of banyan trees. I met Karthik during my final year of college. He was quiet, gentle, and unfailingly kind. The kind of man who always remembered your favorite coffee and smiled like he meant it. He was my arranged match, but I warmed to him quickly. Our families were thrilled, and before I knew it, wedding bells were tolling. We were set to marry in December, under the jasmine-draped mandip in his family's ancestral temple. But nothing prepared me for Arun. Arun was Karthik's older brother, visiting from Bangalore for the wedding. I first saw him when I arrived at their family home. A tall man in a loose kurta, lighting diyas with one hand and texting with the other. His laughter rang louder than the conch shell calls, his presence filling the room like monsoon thunder. Where Karthik was calm water, Arun was fire. He hugged me like we were old friends. "So you're the lucky woman who finally tamed my brother." I laughed politely, but something in my chest fluttered. Unexpectedly, dangerously. From that day, every interaction with Arun felt like walking a tightrope. Too much eye contact. Conversations that lingered. Inside jokes shared too quickly. I convinced myself it was just nerves. Arun was just friendly. I was reading too much into things. But then came the night before the wedding. The sangeet. Lights hanging like stars from mango trees. Karthik was pulled into dancing by cousins, while I stood near the edge, sipping sweet lime soda, watching the chaos. And that's when Arun found me. "Cold feet?" he asked, handing me a shawl as the wind picked up. "No," I lied. He looked at me, then really looked. "You don't have to pretend with me, Aarthi." I should have walked away. But I didn't. The days after the wedding were a blur of rituals and smiles. Karthik and I moved into a modest apartment in Chennai, where I started my job at an architecture firm. He was everything a husband should be. Thoughtful, steady, affectionate. And yet, a part of me remained elsewhere. Arun and I stayed in touch. At first, it was innocent. A forwarded meme, a shared memory from the wedding. But then the messages got longer. Calls late at night. He'd tell me about his lonely life in Bangalore, about how corporate law drained him, how he missed the sea air and homemade raisin. "I wish you'd been my match," he said once. I laughed awkwardly. "You're my brother-in-law." "That never stopped my heart," he said quietly. And just like that, a crack appeared in the wall I'd built. The guilt gnawed at me constantly. I'd lie awake next to Karthik, wondering if he could hear my heart hammering. I tried to pour myself into the marriage. Cooking, planning weekend getaways, pretending everything was fine. But the more I tried to bury Arun, the more he haunted me. One weekend, Karthik had to attend a conference in Coimbatore. I stayed back, claiming a deadline at work. Arun happened to be visiting Chennai. We met at a small cafe near Marina Beach. Half shadows, half smiles. We talked for hours, and then silence settled in, thick and intimate. He reached across the table, brushing his fingers against mine. "Don't you feel it too?" he whispered. I pulled my hand back, but it was too late. The truth had been named. The days that followed were hell. I avoided Arun, ignored his texts. But my heart was a battlefield. I wasn't sure if I was betraying Karthik or betraying myself. It all came crashing down the night Karthik found Arun's name flashing on my phone while I was in the shower. He didn't say anything at first. Just silence. But that silence was more deafening than any scream. Later that night he asked, "Are you in love with him?" I couldn't lie. "I don't know," I whispered, my voice cracking. Karthik didn't cry. He didn't yell. He just nodded like something inside him had quietly broken. I knew, he said. I saw the way you looked at him. On our wedding day. Karthik moved out the next morning. It was surreal. One moment we were partners and the next strangers in shared memories. I kept hoping he'd call, shout, beg for clarity, anything. But he gave me space. Too much of it. Arun, meanwhile, was waiting, for me, for answers, for a path forward. He said he was willing to take whatever consequences came. I've lived my life by rules, Aarthi. But loving you felt like finally living. But something in me resisted. Was this love? Or just the thrill of the forbidden? 3 weeks later, I met Karthik in a quiet tea shop near Besant Nagar. He looked thinner, older somehow. I didn't come for closure, he said, stirring his chai. I came because I still love you. My throat tightened. I was never the exciting one. I knew that. But I thought maybe over time you'd grow to love the calm. Tears streamed down my cheeks. I did love you, Karthik. I still do. Just not in the way you deserved. He took a deep breath. Then you need to make peace with that. With yourself. Before you choose anyone else. Because if you pick Arun just to escape the guilt, it'll eat you alive. Hit me then. He wasn't fighting for me anymore. He was freeing me. And in doing so, he gave me what neither Arun nor I could find on our own. Clarity. I didn't go to Arun that night. Instead, I went home, opened every window, and sat in the silence. I wrote letters to both of them. Long, honest, painful letters. One I sent, one I kept. Arun called the next day. Are you coming? He asked. No, I said gently. Not yet. Why? Because I need to learn who I am without either of you. It's been a year. I live alone now, in a small flat overlooking the sea. I paint on weekends and I've taken up Bharatanatyam again, something I abandoned in my teens. Karthik and I exchange emails sometimes. Simple updates, no bitterness. He's dating someone now. A kind girl from his office. I hope she makes him feel like sunshine. As for Arun, we haven't spoken in months. The last message he sent said only this. Some loves are like comets. They burn brightly and then disappear. But I'm grateful for the fire. I cried when I read it. You see, this isn't a story about choosing the right man. It's a story about choosing the right self. I thought love was about belonging to someone. Now I know it's about belonging to yourself first. People ask me if I regret it. Hurting Karthik. Walking away from Arun. Starting over. And my answer. Sometimes when I smell jasmine or hear temple bells, a sharp ache returns. But mostly I feel free. Because in a world where women are taught to be loyal above all else, I chose to be true. And that has made all the difference. The silence between us said everything we were too afraid to speak aloud.